Stella was 23 years old and lived in a small apartment near the city center. Every morning, she took the same crowded bus to her job as a customer service assistant. It was her first job, and after 2 long years, the excitement had faded. She was quiet, responsible, and always on time. But lately, everything felt like a routine she couldn't escape. Wake up, go to work, come home, sleep, repeat. Sometimes, during lunch breaks, she watched videos of waterfalls and nature on her phone. She would think, one day I'll go somewhere like that. But she never did. There was always work, always something to do. Most evenings, she said no to invitations from friends. She was too tired, too busy, or maybe just too used to saying no. Until one Thursday afternoon, something small, just a simple question, started to change everything. "Are you coming this time?" Alex asked with a friendly smile, holding his backpack. Stella looked up from her screen, surprised. She hadn't even noticed the day was ending. The office lights were dimming, and people were logging off. "I don't know," she said quietly, rubbing her eyes. "Maybe." Alex laughed gently. "You always say that, but it's just a quick trip. We'll be back Sunday." He waved goodbye and walked out, leaving her sitting at her desk, thinking. Outside, the sky was turning orange. She grabbed her bag and rushed to the bus stop. On the way home, her mind kept circling the same thought. Why not go this time? At home, she tossed her keys on the table and opened her closet. The weekend was almost here. A plan was already forming. A trip to a waterfall, camping, laughter, something different. Maybe she needed this more than she realized. Standing in front of her closet, Stella hesitated. Her small backpack sat open on the bed, half filled with a sweater, a flashlight, and a water bottle. She checked her phone. No new messages. The group had already confirmed the plan, meeting early the next morning at the bus terminal. Her mind wandered. What if it rains? What if I feel out of place? What if I'm just too tired? She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. For a moment, it felt easier to cancel, to stay in, to keep saying no. But then she remembered Alex's smile, the way he had said, "It's just a quick trip," and something inside her softened. She stood up, zipped the backpack closed, and took a deep breath. For the first time in months, she was saying yes, and that small decision felt bigger than she expected. The next morning, Stella woke up before her alarm. It was still dark outside. She made coffee, grabbed her backpack, and headed to the bus terminal. She arrived early, but the bus didn't. Minutes turned into an hour. People around her started complaining. A voice on the speaker finally announced a delay. "Technical issues," they said. She sat on a bench, clutching her bag. The sky turned gray. A light drizzle began to fall. She checked her phone. Still no signal. Her heart sank a little. Maybe this was a mistake, she thought. I could be home right now, warm, dry, watching something on TV. As the rain picked up, she pulled her jacket tighter and looked around. Strangers hurried by with umbrellas. The world felt distant. Then, at last, the bus arrived. Inside, the windows fogged up quickly. She leaned her head against the cool glass and watched the city fade into trees and hills. The road was bumpy, but something in her started to relax. Hours later, the bus stopped on a dirt path near a small forest. Stella stepped out and breathed in the smell of wet earth and pine. Still no signal, still a little doubt. But the air felt clean, real. In the distance, she heard laughter, familiar voices calling her name. She smiled. She had made it. The campsite was quiet except for the sound of the waterfall in the distance, water rushing over rocks, steady and calming. Stella followed a narrow trail between the trees. She could see a soft glow ahead, a fire. As she stepped into the clearing, her friends looked up and cheered. "There she is," someone called. Alex stood up and waved her over. "We thought you gave up." Stella dropped her bag and laughed. "Almost." They made space for her around the fire. A kettle was heating on the flames, and the smell of coffee filled the air. Someone handed her a mug, and she wrapped her fingers around it, warming her hands. The trees swayed gently, and above them, stars were just beginning to appear. The moonlight touched the waterfall, making it sparkle like glass. She sat quietly, letting the moment sink in. No phone. No noise. No pressure to respond or perform. Just voices, laughter, firelight, and the endless sound of water. Alex nudged her shoulder. "You okay?" Stella nodded slowly. "Yeah, I really needed this." He smiled. "Told you." She looked at the fire, then at the faces around her. Everyone seemed lighter here, like the world had slowed down. And for the first time in what felt like forever, she wasn't thinking about work or problems or the next day. She was just here. Stella stared at the flickering flames, feeling the warmth on her face. The night was calm, and the waterfall's soft roar was like a quiet song. She thought to herself, "I'm not just surviving, I'm living." Those words felt new and powerful. For so long, she had been caught in routine, just moving from one day to the next. But here, in the cool night air, surrounded by friends and nature, she saw something different. Life was more than work and tired nights. It was moments like this, simple, peaceful, full of meaning. She smiled softly and whispered, "I needed this." The stars above twinkled like tiny reminders of hope. For the first time in a long time, Stella felt ready to embrace more of life. Tomorrow was still uncertain, but tonight she was alive, truly alive. If you like this story, subscribe to the channel for more friendly English lessons.